looking at the first question on your paper, it asks you to find the volume of the rectangular prism, and I'm going to do my best to try to draw the rectangular prism on our smartboard. And let me see.
What side is it?
All right, so looking at your paper on step 7A, we have a rectangular prism on the smartboard. We're going to look at the different aspects of it to figure out the volume. So, what is the length of the prism?
8.
What is the width of the prism?
2.
And how tall what's the height of the prism? All right, so when we do this, we're going to multiply. What's the formula we found out for volume?
Length times width times height.
Length times width times height. Very good. Now we're going to look at that and we're going to put those numbers in our equation, in our formula. Now I will tell you that does it matter when you multiply what order you multiply them in? No, you're going to get the same answer. So it doesn't matter what order you multiply them in, whether you do height times width times length or length times width times height, you're still going to get the same volume. All right, so the length of it was, we said it was 8. The width of it was 2. And the height of it was 12. So let's go ahead and start doing that. I can do 8 times 2 in my head. Can you?
Yes.
All right, so let's go ahead and start breaking that problem down. I know that 8 times 2 is what? 16. Now I'm left with 16 times 12. So now I need to figure out what 16 times 12 is. And where did I get this 8 times 2, or the 16 from 8 times 2? All right, so now I need to go back, and we learned how to multiply 2 ways, clustering or the magic rectangle. So I like to use the magic rectangle. So I'm going to go ahead and work this problem out, and I'm going to show my work. 10 plus 6 is 16. 10 plus 2 is 12. Somebody in 5D pointed out really a good teaching strategy that we had talked about, but we really hadn't practiced, was showing that our rectangles look proportionate to what we're showing. That this 2 is less than the 10. The 10 is greater than the 6, and so I really want to try to get back at showing the proportions. All right, 10 times 10 is
100.
10 times 6 is
60.
10 times 2 is
20.
6 times 2 is.
12.
Now I can add that, and I can add this 100 plus 60 in my head, and what do I get? 160. I can add the 20 plus 12 in my head, and what do I get? 32. And then I can now add and show my work. The volume of this rectangular prism is 192 centimeters. But look at your paper, look at your answer choices. You're showing this is a 3-dimensional object. We're going to show that this is centimeters cubed. The little 3 on top. So 192 centimeters cubed. Check your sheet and see if you got that one.
Yay.
For this answer. I'm going to go ahead and box this answer in, and I'm going to draw the next one. And I want to look at a cube now. We looked at a rectangular prism, and now I want to look at a cube because we have a different formula for a cube. Looking at the cube now, we still use a formula, but our formula is side times side times side. What do we know about the attributes of a cube? Does anybody know about the sides of a cube?
Yeah, they're all the same.
They're all the same. Do you notice that by looking at your diagram and seeing 22, 22, 22? So when we find the volume of a cube, we find side times side times side. Same thing as the length, the width, and the height. All right, and they're all the same. And the thing that you have to be careful for is you can't say 22 times 3. You've got to multiply them out. And you have to multiply 22 times 22 times 22, length times, or side times side times side. So when you do this, you have to break it up, and you have to look at side. So looking back at the cube, we learned that the formula for the cube is side times
Side times side.
side times side times side. Very good. And we know that if you know one side, do you know all sides of a cube?
Yes.
So if this picture only had 22 pointing at one place, and you knew it was a cube, you know that all the sides are going to be 22. So that's another clue, because sometimes you might not see it drawn out with all of the sides labeled, and I'm just not Mrs. Nerez, but I'm going to draw a little cube for you, and you might just see one side saying 22. Then you would know that this is a cube, so all sides are going to be 22. Now, the biggest mistake I've seen is somebody multiplying 22 times 3 because there's 3 sides. That's not the way you solve this problem. You take each number and you multiply them out together. So the volume is 22 times 22 times 22. When you have numbers like this and you can't do them in your head, you need to show your work using either clustering or using the magic rectangles the array way. So I'm going to go ahead and show you the first step is I'm going to multiply these two together. 22 times 22. Oops. I want to make mine more proportionate. 20 plus
2.
and then 20 plus 2. Very good. Now, I'm ready to multiply. 20 times 20. 2 times 2 is 4.
4.
Add your 2 zeros. 20 times 2?
40.
20 times 2?
40.
2 times 2?
4.
Now I can add them all up. 400 plus 40 is 440. 400 plus 4 is?
You mean 40 plus 4?
I'm sorry, 40 plus 4 is?
44.
Add that up, you get 484. Now, are we finished? We've only multiplied 22 times 22. What's left? What do I have to multiply now? And now take my answer, and I still have this 22 that I have to multiply my answer by. So I'm going to come around and I'm going to multiply it by 22. So now I have a whole new problem. So I break up my 484. Remember, when you break up a box, you break it up into place value. So I'm breaking up each place value, the hundreds, the tens, the ones. 20 over here, 2 over here, and now I'm going to break up 484. How many ones are there?
4.
And there's 8 tens, so it makes it 80. And how many hundreds are there? 400. Very good. Now I'm ready to go. 4 times 2 is 8. And then add your 2 zeros, and then you have 800. You have to look at the place.
You have the 4.
I'm sorry, I didn't add my 3 zeros. 8,000. I just love having all even. And then 8 times 2 is 16. Add my 2 zeros. 1,600. 4 times 2 is 8. Add my 1 zero. 80. 400 times 2 is
800.
very good. 80 times 2 is
160.
very good. 4 times 2 is ooh. Sometimes I can't do this in my head, so I can come over here and I can line them up. 8,000 plus 1,600 plus, is there any other 800s? So I've got 8,000, I've got 1,600, now I'm going to do 800. Make sure you line them up correct. 160, then what do I need? 80, then what do I need? Oh, now I have everything. Now, do you see how we've lined them up? If you didn't line up, you get some different answer. All right. 8 plus nothing. 8 plus 6. Carry over my 1. 6 plus 8 is 15. 16. Carry over my 1. 8 plus 1 is plus 1 is 10,648 is our final answer. We have multiplied all 3 sides together. Look over at, that is the volume of this cube. So going back and looking, that is the volume of this cube. The volume is 10,648.